Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. I hope it finds you well out there. It is going to be a hot one here in the Valley of the Sun, upper 80s as the Phoenix Open, I guess it's the Waste Management Open now, kicks off today. If you've never, ever gone to a golf tournament, because, well, let's face it, it's boring. Not this one. They call it the People's Open. Let's just call it what it really is. A reason to get as drunk as you possibly can. Yes, and watch as little golf as possible. But welcome to everybody that's there for that. Of course, it's Super Bowl week, right? Got the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Chiefs and the Eagles again, right? They've been there too many times. I'm tired of them. But having said that, really, I think the question of the day, Jason, has to be to tariff or not to tariff. That is the question. Of course, it was tariffs are on. Everybody buckle up. 25% on Canada, 25% on Mexico, 10% on China. Well, maybe not. Mexico saying that, they've reached an agreement that they're going to pause the 25% tariff with Mexico, as Mexico says they will deploy 10,000 National Guard troops immediately to the U.S. border to stop illegals. No, to avoid trafficking of drugs to the United States. So they're going to pause tariffs for a month. So they've got 1 month. I don't know. It's February. So I guess they get the short month, right? I guess so. You don't get the whole 30 or 31 days. You're going to get 28 days. But at least for right now, it appears that Mexico may have a reprieve. By the way, Trump is also going to be talking to Trudeau in Canada and Xi Jinping as well. So, Jason, at the end of this, we may not have any tariffs. We just don't know yet.
I guess we'll see what happens, right? Obviously, if there's the temporary deal with Mexico, that's going to put a whole lot of pressure on Canada, right, Joe? Because I know if I was a worldwide shipper, I would probably start sending everything to Mexico, because if the tariffs aren't going to be on that border, that's where it's going to go. And I get the feeling that we haven't seen the end of this, right, Joe? This is going to be a topic for quite a long time.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big issue. By the way, all-time record high on gold. It didn't matter. It's going to be an all-time record high no matter which way it was around. But gold hitting new all-time record highs, as I said. So here's the problem. I'm glad that there's a pause, because it was really, really quiet. But the issue for all of us still is going to be, right, we've got to come up with money. I mean, that's really the issue, right? And it's great. Listen, I don't know why this wasn't being done from day one. We could always have secured the border. We didn't want, Mexico didn't want to, we didn't want to, Canada didn't want to, China didn't want to, nobody really wanted to. We'll see how it goes. But you got to give credit where credit is due. Also, this weekend, Marco Rubio, Little Marco, remember Little Marco? Apparently, they're friends after all. He was in Panama, and he got the Panamanian president to agree to not renew the Belt and Road Initiative with China when it comes to. Now, here's the problem. They still got a couple of more years on the original agreement. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. And I said this last week. We just got to offer Panama a better deal, right? I mean, offer them a better deal and they'll do it. I mean, they're not dumb. At least I don't think they are. But nonetheless, they say they're not going to renew it. I don't know if that's a stall tactic to say, well, by that time, Trump's going to almost be out of office, right? And we can negotiate for a while and then go back. I don't know. But Jason, he said that he was going to do these things. He's done them. He's getting concessions. 10,000 Mexican troops to the border. It sounds good. If nothing else, it sounds good. I know this. Wall Street wasn't expecting the terror because it was so quiet, right? He wasn't really saying anything. Then late Friday, they hit out at this. But right now, Mexico is saying that the tariffs are paused, that they've reached an agreement for a month. There are meetings with Trudeau and Xi Jinping because I think they're supposed to go into effect tomorrow. Originally, they said, hey, it was going to go into effect on the February 1st. They gave him a few extra days to make these phone calls. So there is a good chance that a lot of these tariffs may not come to fruition at all. But if they don't, the problem is going to be, okay, where are you going to get all of the money from to do a bunch of the stuff that he needs to do? And I know they talked universal tariffs, but let's face it, Canada, China, and Mexico was a lot of the input. That was like the big piece of it, right? If when you think about who do we do the most trade with, those countries are 1, 2, 3.
It's going to be money printing. That's how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's what gold is saying today. Woohoo! Here we go. To the moon. In fact, Patriot Radio News Hour. Stay with us. What is our toll-free number? 800-951 9756. I don't know. That's not it. What is it, Jason? I'm drawing a blank.
951-0592. That's 800-951-0592. Let me say this about gold and silver. I was looking at some stuff, Joe. There are times when in gold when I think those bigger players, they don't want you to buy gold and silver, right, Joe? They don't. Right now, retail gold and silver is just dead, right, Joe? People, the average guy is just not buying, right, Joe? But it's screaming to be bought. These premiums are so low. I was looking at a video about 2008. I wasn't buying gold and silver in 2008, but you were doing it, Joe. And we had the $1,000 gold drop into $700, and there was no product available, right, Joe? Is that true? Do you remember? There was nobody could buy anything. It was just completely nowhere. And see these backwards? It's backwards, right, Joe? If there's no gold at all, the price should be going up because there's no supply and there was demand, right? Here we are, we've got supply, gold's going to record highs, and this is how they kind of shake down the small guy, right, Joe? The biggest buyers in the world are saying, no, don't get involved, we want it all. This is really when you should be buying. In 2008, that was a time that you should have been buying anything that was available, and the same thing here, Joe. When it doesn't make sense and nobody's buying, that's really the time to jump in.
Well, and again, you got to be careful with nobody's buying. We're talking solely
people
about
are buying.
retail.
Yeah, people are buying.
Retail, and I should probably preface American retail.
Yes.
We have a lot fewer buyers than we should. And here's the thing, as Jason, as we know. Right, gold goes through these periods where everybody wants to buy it. There's never product. Like when we're super busy, product's hard to get. We're sitting there, how many times have you heard this? Like on silver, we'll be like, you got to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get delivery, and no calling, no crying, no whining, right? And then you have these periods like we have right now where, hey, the buying is few and far between, and the premiums have come way in, right, which is a great opportunity. And the thing that I think we see coming is when everybody finally figures out, oh, okay, wait, I didn't quite understand. Like, I know that we have a lot of debt, and I know that a lot of countries are really on the precipice here, but I didn't really understand what it means because I was happy. Whether it's hey, I'm happy because we've got Donald Trump, or I'm happy because hey, the elections are over and I can get on with my life, and who knows, whatever it may be. When the I guess, and I hate to say fear, but that's what unfortunately for a lot of people, right? That's when they tend to, I guess, decide, okay, that's it. I'm nervous now. I've been thinking about this. People have been thinking about buying gold. A lot of people that probably listen to this show have been thinking about buying gold for years. And then, of course, you're looking at, gosh, all-time highs, right? I don't know. And then, of course, you got Bitcoin and all the, all of those other type of digital assets. I will say, Bitcoin, for whatever reason, did not like the tariffs. It was all the way down into the mid-90s. I haven't checked it in the last, say, hour or so since Mexico has agreed, but there is no doubt that when we look at, is this a good time if you live in the U.S. to purchase gold? And the answer is it really is, not because the price is low, right? Because it's not, right? We're talking all-time highs. But what you have to pay over the spot price to get it has never, and I've been doing it, well, I don't know about never, because I've been doing it since 1970, what was it, 74, they closed the gold window in 71, and I think you could start trading gold like in 73 or 72, something like that. But I've been doing this over 20 years. And these premiums have never been this inexpensive. So, yeah, it's a really, really interesting time, and I think it's a great time to be buying gold. So right now, the Dow, which was down.
Let me add one thing, Joe. Let me add one thing about gold. This might be about as risk-free of an opportunity to buy gold as well. Joe and I don't control the markets. If we have, let's say we had a 10% correction in gold. Let's say a 10% correction in gold. Let's just say it happens for whatever reason. That's $280. The premiums are going to come up at the same time. I mean, it may not cover the entire amount, but if gold goes down at any point this year with these low premiums, the premiums will come up and absorb that. You're not going to get it cheaper. You're just not getting gold cheaper. There's nothing to be waiting for. This is about as cheap as you're going to get it. And if gold goes up, it's just going to cost you more. And if gold goes down, the premiums are going to come up. This is about as risk-free buying of gold as you could possibly be, right, Joe? I don't see it any other way. If it goes down, the prices will stay stable. If it goes up, you're just going to have to pay more. And gold going up sure looks like it's on the menu, Joe.
Yeah, it does, and it sucks because it's not going up for good reasons. It's going up because of the fact that, hey, the whole world is just engulfed in debt, and we've got whether you want to call it trade war or actual war, you've got everybody kind of gunning for how are we going to survive this? How are we going to get through this? And you have Europe is in big trouble. Big danger. Japan's in big trouble. Everybody is. They say we're the cleanest dirty shirt. But let's look at the pause. So the Dow was down 600. It's only down 50. The S&P's down 30. At what point? I think it was down like 140, 150. The Nasdaq's still down almost 200 points. The 10-year note, 451. Crude oil, which was up almost $2, has come all the way back down. So it's unchanged. Gold right now is up $22, $23 here. $25, sorry. 28.23. Gold's been as high as 28.30. Silver up 40 cents here, 31.65. And for the TV folks, right, we got, gold 28.60, 28.65, silver 32.50. So, Jason, it really is a very interesting time. And I'll just tell this to everybody. We keep saying it. Please be diversified here. Be smart. Be smart. Don't take all of your money out of the stock market. We didn't say that. But you better have things in place for when the shocks to the market come, because they're going to be, A, they're coming. You're not going to avoid them. And B, they're going to be painful. And why are they going to be painful? Well, because that's what they've decided. In their infinite wisdom, they put us on boom and bust cycles, and unfortunately, every bust is bigger than the last bust because, well, they keep printing money. So quite the turn of events, at least for right now, at least with Mexico. The tariff is on pause. Well, they say they're going to try to stem the flow of drugs by sending 10,000 troops to the border. And remember, he's got talks with Canada and China as well. So there is a good chance that we may not have any of the tariffs. We'll see. Outside of that, it will be a week. We'll have jobs this week, right? So obviously it's the first week of the month. It'll start on Wednesday, but really everyone will be looking for Friday. How many jobs did we create? It'll be interesting because this is still a January number. Trump didn't get in until kind of the end of January. How many government jobs, right? That'll be something to look at because remember, they've been a big piece of job growth here. We're also going to get ISM stuff. We'll get still first quarter or fourth quarter earnings, and then most of the Fed is going to be talking this week, Jason. So we're going to get a lot of commentary as they paused rates, kind of getting clues as to what it is that they may be looking for to possibly lower rates again. Of course, news of the tariffs or lack thereof. If this does happen, if we come out of this next, say, 24 hours, 48 hours, and none of the tariffs are there, then I think you're going to be looking at a situation where Donald Trump is going to demand lower rates, right? Because that's what he needs to get the spending going.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I think the meeting with China will be interesting. China's been selling off treasuries. I wonder if that's going to go, hey, start buying these treasuries back and we won't have tariffs. Because it's all about dollars. That's what it's going to be. More dollars, I think is the way that this is going to be, because they're going to print more. They need someone to buy it, right, Joe? So, America is not really popular right now. I'm looking at all the flag burning going on in Panama with Marco Rubio coming in. There are some headwinds at America as far as our government and trying to fix economic activities, Joe. It looks pretty bleak.
There is no doubt that you had the hockey crowds in Canada booing the national anthem. A lot of citizens of the countries that, let's face it, have been on the receiving end are not very happy There's definitely, I mean, that's I guess one of the effects of, and I don't know if I want to, necessarily say, Trump's bullying them, but he's strong-arming a lot of these countries, and let's face it, they don't like it, right? And they don't like the fact that the United States is kind of demanding, hey, if you want to do business with us, here's what you're going to do in order to do it. And it hasn't been, you're right about that, it hasn't been very well received outside of the United States.
That's an understatement. That's an understatement.
Probably an understatement. Yeah, I may be sugarcoating it a little bit. And
it's fun to watch, Joe.
I know a lot of Americans, I think, are pretty happy about it because they feel like that we've been taken advantage of for a very long time, and they kind of feel like something like this has to be done. And I'll just caution that the reason why BRICS became so popular was because the United States uses financial things as weapons against other nations. And so I think in the short term, good. The long term, maybe not so much. We'll see how it plays out. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. By the way, Donald Trump has named Scott Bessent, who is the Treasury Secretary, as acting director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So we'll have to see how long he has those dual roles. Of course, that's something I know the bankers like that. The Protection Bureau had been very aggressive with the banks as of late. So kind of an interesting not surprising development there. But today we're looking, like I said, another all-time record high in the gold price as Mexico has announced that there is a pause in their tariff situation as they're going to be moving 10,000 troops to the border. We'll see how the cartels, how that goes. And, of course, I don't know this, but it doesn't seem like a lot of Mexican, whether it's police or military, are with the cartels. But in any event, it sounds good. We'll see how the rest of it plays out. $20 gold piece continuing to be the place to be. $2,850. So, we're sitting there, talking about being able to buy so close to the spot levels, which is, you just don't normally see those things. We'll see how long it lasts, Jason. But I'll say this: if you have the means to do it, don't let it pass you by. Put a few more ounces away, especially when you're like, man, I've never paid this little. It's something where, let's just say it was some form of a crisis going on right now. Whether it was France or England, Japan, maybe South Korea, they had a failed auction. The stock market's down a couple of thousand points, and everybody's nervous. Jason, you'd be looking at prices, I mean, hundreds of dollars above where we're at today. I mean, we wouldn't even be in the ball. We wouldn't, put it this way, you wouldn't be buying any gold, I don't care what it was, below $3,000, and probably closer to $3,100 or $3,200. So you're really, when you think about it, you're buying gold for like a $300 discount right now. So that's pretty cool. So that really means it's like, well, it's almost like you're buying gold at $2,500 instead of $2,800. And, of course, we know, listen, it doesn't matter what happens. We're going to see $3,000 gold and well above $3,000 gold. Jason, it's a great opportunity. The problem is for most people, they need that motivation, right, to do it. And they're like, well, right now, you know what, I'm still waiting. You know, Wall Street's hanging in there, and I like what Trump's been doing, and America first, and that sounds wonderful. But the realities don't change, which is how do we pay for all of this stuff? And the tariffs, I hate to say it, but that was one of the biggest pieces when you think about the amount of revenue that you could get from the tariffs. Jason, you know, you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars that are going to be that were potential. That if you don't have, you know what? Where do you get hundreds of billions of dollars from? There really isn't many places to get that kind of money.
Yeah, in 2024, just last year, there was no COVID emergency. There was no 9/11. There was no catastrophe, so to speak. It was an election year. On Valentine's Day last year, so we're coming up. You know, we got about less than 2 weeks. We got Valentine's Day. Gold is at $2,004. No emergencies. I'm wondering, Joe, if we're getting ready to go through a cycle in gold price. And people are going to be left behind. You just go to May 20th. 3 months, it was $24.40. All right, that's where we went last year. With everything being kind of whatever, you know, no emergency worldwide that should show gold going up that much. Are we cycling the same thing right now? Look how it's been creeping up. It went from 2,700 to now we're over 2,800. Joe, it's just starting to move. Are we looking in the next couple of months of the same thing we did last year, the same cycle? That's $400. $400 in 3 months. Is that happening again? Are we going to be talking in May of 3,250 gold? And I think it's very possible, Joe. And that's with just, you know, you got the stuff on the TV. Like you said, the Donald Trump stuff and the Mexico and the Panama Canal and Greenland. You know, it's interesting watching Trump go to work. Because how many mafia movies have everyone in the audience listened to, or you watch the mafia movies, and you always have the guys like, oh, Don Miguel or Don Carlo, whatever. Is it better to be feared or respected? And other governments fear what Trump is doing. We're in the fear situation. They think he's crazy, right? And when you have a Democrat, well, nobody really likes or respects the Democrats, but other governments love a Democrat because it's all about big government and more government. So Trump is the one he's the fear, and then you put a Democrat in and you got the respect, right? It's a show that's being put on, but you know these countries don't know, Joe. Everyone's out in it for themselves. Everyone has to protect their corner of the world, and right now the fear thing is in place, and gold could go up $300 or $400 easily in the next few months, Joe. Let's just see what happens.
The biggest thing is why. Because Jason's right. I mean, the war in Ukraine's been going on for like 3 years, so that's not new. You know, the Israel thing, you know, maybe this was, you know, one of the worst ones, but that always rears its ugly head, right? I mean, every 5 years or so, you got to have something like that. Here's the deal. Here's the reason. Because now the big problem in all of this is how are we going to pay for it? Because we had the, I guess for lack of a better term, the COVID emergency, right? That provided cover, right? Everybody out there was like, okay, it's okay that we're spending this kind of money because it's an emergency, right? We had no choice. We had to do it. And that emergency is over. The problem is the spending never stopped. And now everybody's like, uh-oh. If we spending like this, we're going to have a crash. How do we keep spending is really the problem. That's why gold keeps rallying. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Monday. $20 gold pieces continue to shine the way here as gold is at an all-time record high. Right now it's up $27, $28.25. Silver's up 36 cents, 31.63. But $20 gold, $2,840. I'm sorry, $2,800. I think I said $50. It was $40. $2,840. So basically, again, buying it right next to spot here. Spot's at 28 and a quarter. 800-951-0592. That is your toll-free number, and how you can lock in these great prices to give you an idea how important is this spending. Let me give you an idea, because it's easy to say it, right? It's okay, we know, but we've had debt for a long time. This is unusual. And what I mean by that is now $2 trillion is a low number. Outside of COVID, that would be an all-time record high. Why would we be at all-time record high deficits if it wasn't an emergency? See, that's why the central bank told us we needed to have them. Oh, well, when there's an emergency, we can just print some money. Don't worry, though, we won't print it when things are bad. Or when things are good, I'm sorry. We'll actually pay stuff back. Well, I hate to tell you this, but part of the reason why Joe Biden was so disliked, even though when you think about it, right, unemployment rate never been lower, really. I mean, it was incredible. Right? Had more people working than ever before. We had a stock market. Gosh, the last 2 years anyway were really good. Really good by any standard. And yet, nobody liked them. Not even Democrats really liked them. And the realities are, most of it is because the government was printing up trillions of dollars, and government is very bad at creating really good economic growth, as we understand. The first quarter, so the fiscal year is a little different than the calendar year. So fiscal year 2025 for the federal government started in October. October, November, December. We spent a record in 2024 as far as deficit spending goes. Let me give you just an easy breakdown to understand. In those 3 months, the debt increased by $754 billion. Now, that's the low estimate. It was actually more than that, but we'll use that one. GDP grew. Right? Remember, it just came out 2.3%. They were a little disappointed, but still 2.3%. It added, they said, hey, the economy was $130 billion bigger. So we had to go out and spend, what, I don't know, $7 more to get $1 of growth? I mean, Jason, it used to be bad when the government's got to spend $2 to get $1 of growth. We're at this point now where the government is spending $7 to get $1 of growth. And this is, when we talk inflation, this is what we're talking about. And everybody can see it, right? Everybody can see how bad this is. And listen, they were using a kind debt number. They really were. That was kind. There's a lot of quarters where we'll have $1 trillion in debt to get $100 billion of growth. And, Jason, this is the problem. And as we go through this, what we know the cycle it took $2, and it took $3, and it took $4, and it took $5. Now it's at $6, $7, $8. The more this costs, the worse things are getting. And this is just another little example of why is it that gold, like Jason, gosh, gold went. It went up $400 in like 90 days. Is it going to do it again? Yep, it is. Why? Well, look how much money they've got to spend to get $1 of growth. And remember, what's the policy? We're going to try to spend our way out of it. And, Jason, I don't know that they can spend that much. I don't know that it's possible.
Well, they could print it and give it away like they did in 2010 to prop everything up. I mean, that's what it feels like is going to end up happening. How many times in the last couple of years you say, well, they, for them to lower the rates, they need to, they have to have a whole bunch of job losses, right, Joe? Well, they got the president who is famously, to say you're fired, right? I mean, those 2 million jobs, he's trying to get early retirements out of the federal employees. I mean, some of those people are going to keep working. Not all those people are going to jump ship or going to just stop working. So that'll be unemployed. I mean, it's coming, right, Joe? It's coming. I don't know how they're going to get the rates lowered, though. It's kind of like the old stick shift truck that's more years behind it. You can't quite get it out of gear, right? It's stuck, right? That's kind of what's going on. Things are grinding and things are not looking too good for the old truck.
Yeah, well, that may be the understatement of the year. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason will be back. Final segment coming up. (800-951-0592) Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Monday. I'm more optimistic that we'll go. I hate to say it, that we'll maybe not get these tariffs with the remaining meetings to be had, or we'll get pauses here. And as we said, it doesn't matter. And we kind of saw that this morning, right? Where Jason and I told you it really didn't matter whether it was going to be tariffs or no tariffs. Gold was going to be an all-time record high, and it was for both, because the tariffs were on this morning, and then the Mexico got the delay. I think if we get delays in Canada and China come tomorrow, once again, Jason, I think you see higher gold prices, right? Because that's going to be, technically non-inflationary. That's going to also drive up the debt and at the same time create dollar weakness. And I think you're going to see very likely another all-time high tomorrow.
Yeah, and Joe was closer on our prediction on Thursday. Joe said 28.65. I said 28.95. We were thinking there would be a little bigger jump, but we didn't know the tariffs were going to be delayed to essentially tomorrow. So if there's tariffs in place tomorrow, we could still see those numbers we just predicted come a day or two, Tuesday or Wednesday, Joe. So if I think we were supposed to get tariffs on Saturday, so that's kind of where those numbers are coming from.
Well, and some of it too was my fault, because I was mistaken when I was saying that the TV had the February contract. It was actually the April contract, so prices weren't quite as high as I thought. But yeah, we're going to listen.
28.20 ain't bad though.
I mean, are you going to be upset if we hit those numbers, but it's Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, right? Either way, we're going to have these numbers quickly. I don't think we're going to spend We don't know, but it doesn't appear like we're going to spend a lot of time in the 2,800 range. That's just the feeling I get. It looks like if gold's going to stay here, it looks like it's just going to say, hey, let's just get to wherever that new resistance point is. We could end up challenging $3,000 gold earlier than I expected because of this. There's no doubt.
And will it bounce before it hits 3,000, or will it? Who knows? It busts 3,000. Just the mental number that could mean 3,200 gold. That could be why we saw last year. We could, from 2,000 to 2,450. If it busts 3,000, we could see 3,200, and there's your $400 from 2,800 to 3,200 in the beginning of the year.
You can't rule it out, right? You just can't. And again, it's just unfortunate because. Really, the situation, yeah, it's great. Obviously, we're in the gold business, so it's wonderful that gold's been a great asset to hold. But the reality is it's not so great because we're really not in this super strong position that you really want America to be in. I mean, that's just the realities of all of this. It's kind of it's a bad reason. How's that? It's a bad reason that gold is this high. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason wrapping this day up here. Hey, here's the good news. Don't worry, Jason and I, we're going to be back tomorrow, but we're going to come right back right now with the half-empty cup. Stay with us.